and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Today I will be doing my Premier League predictions for the 1920 season. So I'm really nervous for this, as always, because you always end up looking an idiot. I did League 1, 2 and Championship and Premier League, as well as the non-league as well last year. This season I'm only doing the Premier League. I don't feel like I know enough about what's gone on, so I'm only doing the Premier League, and I'll probably struggle at that. I put Watford to get relegated last year. In the Championship, I put Norwich to finish below Ipswich. So I really struggled last year. So hopefully I can do a bit better this time. If you haven't already, feel free to smash the like button if you do enjoy the video, and subscribe, of course, if you are new. There will be lots of live streams throughout the season, watch-alongs as well. So feel free to get involved with the channel. My aim is to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So hopefully we can do that. If not, then there's always next year. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. So in 20th place we have Sheffield United. I think that most people will probably put Sheffield United to go down. They have a Championship quality squad. Chris Wilder, I have all the respect in the world for. I think he's done brilliant jobs at Halifax, at Oxford, at Northampton, and now at Sheffield United. I think he's a fantastic manager. He's done really well with all of those clubs, and he signed Robinson, he signed Freeman, he signed Liza Muset, and he signed Jagielka. Muset's obviously played a bit in the Premier League. Robinson and Freeman are have been playing in the Championship and are probably Championship quality. Jagielka, decent signing, but probably past it. So I think that they'll finish bottom of the league. They have what they have achieved is amazing, and I think that should be applauded. I just can't see any way they survive in the Premier League. I hope they stay up. I hope all of the promoted teams stay up, but I think that they will definitely go down. In 19th place we have Brighton and Hove Albion, who are under new managerial situation. It is Graham Potter who has taken over there, so that's an interesting one. Graham Potter is relatively inexperienced. He's obviously managed at Swansea and Autism. I really hope he does well. A young English manager, but I think he might struggle. They bought Trossard, and they bought in Matt Clark from Portsmouth. Those are the only real signings they've made so far. They struggled last season. They were proper lucky that they didn't go down. You know, if Cardiff would have picked up a point here and a point there, and maybe if that goal against Chelsea wouldn't have gone in and they'd have beaten Chelsea, you know, a goal that was offside, I think it was Aspilicueta, maybe they would have gone down. They beat Manchester United on the final day. They were very lucky Brighton survived. But they did survive. They got rid of Chris Hughton, which I understand. I understand they wanted a different way, and Potter will play a completely different way of football than Chris Hughton. I really hope it works out, but I don't think it will, and I think they will finish in 19th position. In the final relegation spot, we have Norwich City. Farman and Roberts will improve Norwich in my opinion, but the young squad will not be good enough. They have a lot of young players: Max Aarons, Jamal Lewis, Ben Godfrey in the defence, and I think that they might struggle. I think Pookie may struggle to find goals in this league. It's going to be a really tough season for Norwich. Like I said, I hope all the promoted teams stay up, but I think Norwich will struggle and Sheffield United will really struggle. Norwich, they played some amazing football last year. They look really good, and hopefully their young squad can do really well, because they have some really good players, some really good young, you know, exciting players, but I just can't see any way they survive. Daniel Farker, I said that Norwich would go down last season, or not go down, but would finish really low last year, so I might be, hopefully for Norwich fans, I'm totally wrong again with Norwich City. 17th place, I've gone with Newcastle United under Steve Bruce. So they've lost Rafa Benitez, obviously, and have replaced him with Bruce, who in my opinion is not a Premier League quality manager, unfortunately. They've lost Ayoze Perez, he has gone to Leicester City, and also they have lost Solomon Rondon, who's gone back to West Brom and has been sold. So I think that they'll fight for survival. I think they'll stay up under Bruce. They signed Joe Linton from Hoffenheim for €40 million, so about £36 million. That was a huge amount of money for Mike Ashley to be spending. I don't know what he must have been drinking that day, but that is a big amount of money to spend. I'm not sure on him. I'm not sure if it will work out, but I think Steve Bruce has enough experience just to keep them up through the skin of their teeth. In 16th place, we have Aston Villa. Aston Villa have spent over £100 million on the likes of Matt Targett, Wesley, Tyrone Mings. They've signed Jota as well, but in my opinion, they've signed a lot of Championship players, and I'm not sure how many of them will be able to make the step forward into a better league. We signed a few players from abroad as well, and it'd be interesting to see how they go on. I really like Dean Smith. Dean Smith is my old club, Hereford United now. Then he played for them, and he was a record signing at £80,000. And he's done really well as a manager at Walsall, at Brentford, and now at Aston Villa. He's done really well. And Hereford's former manager, actually, Richard O'Kelly, is number 2 to Smith, despite despite John Terry being there. He is assistant manager. They spent 100 million. They sort of signed a Trezeguet as well. They signed a hell of a lot of players. It'd be interesting to see how they get on. They need to gel. We saw how badly it went for Fulham, but I think this might go slightly better. I hope it goes better for Dean Smith, and I think that they will stay up. But I think they will struggle. I think all 3 teams will struggle this year that have come up. In 15th place, I have Crystal Palace. They've lost Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who is a huge loss. I really rate that kid, and he is going to do wonders at Manchester United, in my opinion. But as things stand, they have kept hold of Wilfried Zaha. Now, I think he is going to be key to them staying up. I think as long as they have Zaha, they will stay up. He is such a key to them. They really struggle when he hasn't been there. They really struggled to pick up any sort of points when he's not been there. But as things stand, he is there. Recently, they were rejected a £55 million bid from Everton. Roy Hodgson, he is a quality pair of hands. He is a very safe pair of hands as well. He is likely to keep them up. And I think that's what will happen. I think they'll finish about 15th. 14th, I have Burnley, who have made a couple of signings. Rodriguez and Eric Peters are good experience at this level. They won't have Europe this time as well. That really messed with them at the start of the season. I think they'll be down. I think they'll be fighting relegation once again. But I think Sean Dyche has enough about him to keep up. I think this is very similar to Roy Hodgson. I think both managers have enough experience and guile really to keep both teams up. In 13th place, we have Southampton. Ings, Adams, and Denepo. I think I've butchered that name. They've all signed, and they look quite good signings. Ings, he did all right last year, and they need to try and keep him injury free. Adams, I think that's a good sign. I think he can make this step up. Hasenhuttl, I think he's a really good manager, and I think he'll be able to guide them into around mid-table, which I think would be a good sort of place for them. I think that they'll be okay. I don't think they'll be involved in the relegation battle. I think they'll be around mid-table. In 12th place, I have AFC Bournemouth. Now, they have kept hold of Wilson, Fraser, David Brooks, who are really key to them, and they've kept hold of all of their major stars. They've signed a couple of young players in Jack Stacey and Lloyd Kelly, and recently they have signed Philip Billing as well, who I'm a big fan of, who played at Huddersfield. They got relegated, but in my opinion, he was their best player. He looked really good, so they kept hold of him, of their players. They've signed a good player in Philip Billing, and signed a couple of youngsters as well. Another safe season for them, in my opinion. I think Bournemouth will be fine. 11th place, I've gone with Watford. They've signed Dawson. They haven't lost anyone. So I think it might be mid-table again for Watford. It'd be interesting to see. There's talks of Islami Sarr from Rennes. There was also talks of Saint Maxim, who plays in Nice, I think. There's talks of a couple of wingers. I think they'll make 1 or 2 acquisitions before the window shuts. But I think that they will be around mid-table. I don't think there'll be any threat of relegation for Watford. I regret everything I said last time. In 10th place, I've gone with West Ham. So they've lost Arnautovic. They've also lost Perez, which isn't a big deal. Fornells looks a good signing from Villarreal, and they've also signed Sebastian Haller. I think he signed from Frankfurt. So a couple of good signings there, and I think that they will be pushing for those sort of Europa League position with the other teams, but I think that they will finish about 10th. They could finish higher if Fornells and Haller hit the ground running, which I really like to see. I really like to see West Ham, in Europe. That would be really good to see. In ninth place, I've gone with Wolves. I think Europe will take its toll on Wolves, and they will finish below where they finished last season, but still in that sort of top mid-table bracket. They've signed Crotone is meant to be on his way, and they signed that lad from Real Madrid as well. So they've signed a couple of players. I think that they'll finish lower down, maybe even lower than ninth. But I've gone with ninth because I don't think they'll go too far in Europe. It will take its toll at the beginning of the season, and that could have damages at the start of the season. I think they'll finish around the top of the mid-table, around ninth. That's what I've gone with. In eighth place, I have Everton. So Everton have signed Andre Gomez on a permanent deal. He's a very good signing. I was very impressed with him last year. They will be pushing for Europe, in my opinion, once again. They've signed Moise Kean. That is meant to be confirmed soon, according to Sky in Italy. So that would be a very good sign. It'd be interesting to see what other moves they make. Last summer, they made a lot of signings towards the end of the transfer window. So maybe there. But as things stand, I think they'll finish about 8th. I don't think they'll finish as high as Leicester City. They have lost Idrissa Gueye. He has gone to PSG. 7th place, I have Leicester City. Very good business indeed with Perez and Tielemans, who was absolutely fantastic for Leicester City towards the end of the season. Brendan Rodgers is there now. They've also signed James Justin from Luton Town. I think they'll push for the top 6. I really think they'll push for the top 6, but I don't think they are good enough to dislodge Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, etc. I just think they'll finish just outside, but Leicester City going into Europe again would be very, very good, and they'll be able to push on from there as well. So next season, I'm going to go for them to finish in Europe. 6th place, I've gone with Chelsea. So they've lost Hazard, who was a massive, massive player for them. They're obviously a key player. Lampard will need time. I think Lampard will give the likes of Mount and Tammy Abraham a go towards the start of the season. I'm interested to see how they do. I have a feeling Mount will do really well at Chelsea and will be able to find a regular first team space in the side. I really hope it works out for Lampard as a young English coach, but I think it will be struggles at the start of the season. I think that they'll finish in 6th place. I think they'll be around, typical Chelsea season, be around the top 4 but not get there. I think that's what I think will happen. But I think that they should stick with Lampard regardless, unless they finish about 13th. Then I think maybe they should get rid of him. But I hope they stick with him. In 5th place, I've gone with Arsenal. So Arsenal look like they are going to sign Nicolas Pepe from Lille for £72 million. That's a hell of a lot of money for a club like Arsenal, who don't spend much money. They're very, very tight with their money. They have lost Aaron Ramsey, who has obviously gone to Juventus. Unai Emery, he probably wants to sort out the defence, and that's something. It's probably why I picked Arsenal to finish 5th and not 4th, because they haven't sorted out the defence. Koscielny looks like he's on his way out, and there's no update on Kieran Tierney, and there's no update on signing a centre-back they've been crying out for years, and I think their defence is really weak, and I think that's where they might struggle this summer. So I've gone for them to finish in 5th. So Manchester United are in 4th place. They've improved with the signings of Wan-Bissaka. They've also signed Daniel James. Maguire seems to be another target. Milinkovic-Savic, Bruno Fernandes. There's so many signings they can make, and I'm backing them to make at least one signing here, and that's probably going to be Maguire. If Maguire signs, that will improve their defence, and that could be the difference between Europa League and Champions League. They probably have a better defence with Wan-Bissaka and Maguire in than probably Arsenal's defence, in my opinion. So they would have improved their defence, but I don't think they'll get all the signings that they're linked with. If they don't get Maguire, then maybe they'll finish in 5th and Arsenal 4th. But as things stand, I believe that they will sign Harry Maguire, and that is why I've gone for them to finish in 4th place. In 3rd place, I've gone with Tottenham. I think that they have improved with Ndombele signing. They kept hold of Toby Alderweireld, that seems to stand, and also Christian Eriksen. Doesn't seem to be too much interest in those two players, so they could be amongst the Tottenham squad. They have lost Kieran Trippier, but I don't think that'll be a big loss. He didn't have the best of seasons last year, so I think that they'll finish about 3rd under Mauricio Pochettino. I think that that's probably where they should have finished last season, but they went on a terrible run of form, and Chelsea managed to put them to 3rd. That's where I expect them to finish. Now, Liverpool and Manchester City. These two are by far and away the best two teams in the Premier League. But who have I gone to finish second? And who have I gone to finish first? In second place, I've gone with Liverpool. They're still the best side outside of City, but they haven't signed anyone of note, and they've been struggling in pre-season. They lost to Napoli recently 3-0. They lost to Sevilla as well. Obviously, they're missing out on key players. They were missing Alisson, they were missing Naby Keita, they were missing the front three, Mane, Firmino and Mohamed Salah. So I think that will be a struggling, struggling to, the start of the season they might struggle without them, because they've had international competitions, and that might hamper them at the start of the season. They only need one injury or a couple of injuries, because they didn't have any injuries to that front three last year. They didn't have, Kevin De Bruyne for Manchester City was out for pretty much the whole season last year, and City coped. So I don't think they've improved enough to keep City at bay and to win the league, in my opinion. I think Manchester City will win the league. So number one is Manchester City. What can you say about Pep Guardiola? He's the best manager in the world, and he has done very, very well with this City team. He's won 6 trophies in the 3 years he's been there, and he's improved the side once again. He signed Angelino from PSV, a former City Academy graduate. He plays left back. They needed a left back because you can't rely on Benjamin Mendy. He's been injured the whole time he's been at Manchester City practically. They have Zinchenko, but they need backup because they lost Fabian Delph, of course, to Everton. And they've signed Angelino, who looks pretty good. He puts in a hell of a ball, quite quick as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But between him and Zinchenko, they sort of have left back cover. And they've of course signed Rodri as well, and Rodri is going to be in that Fernandinho position when Fernandinho isn't there. Fernandinho is such a key cog, and it was so obvious last season when he wasn't playing. But hopefully they found that right answer in Rodri, and they'll be able to show what a good signing he is, and that could really shore up City. So 2 areas they needed to strengthen. They have strengthened. They're the best team in the league, and I think they'll win the league again, in my opinion. So that is my predictions. Sheffield United in 20th, Brighton in 19th, 18th we find Norwich City, 17th Newcastle United, 16th Aston Villa, 15th Crystal Palace, 14th Burnley, 13th Southampton, 12th AFC Bournemouth, 11th Watford, 10th West Ham, 9th Wolves, 8th Everton, 7th we find Leicester City, 6th place is Chelsea, 5th Arsenal, Manchester United in 4th, Tottenham Hotspur in 3rd, Liverpool in 2nd, and Manchester City to win the title again for a 3rd time in a row. So those are my opinions. Obviously, there's no knowing really, and it's so tough to predict anything in football, because it's just an unbelievable hard thing to do, because you just never know. You never know what's going to happen throughout the season. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on how you think the season will go. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, of course, if you're new, for the 1920 season. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.